Hey guys, it's Generic Joe, and let's talk about the Nintendo Switch. Again, this is actually my second take of this, because I was listening back to my first recordings, and they sounded like shit. They really just sounded bad. There's a lot of echo, and you could tell it was a very open area. So, I'm trying again in a different location. Hopefully this sounds better. But, the Switch has been out on the market for about 9 months now. I've owned it for about 4 of those months. I've had it since August. So, in my time owning the system, I just kind of wanted to go over what I like about the system, what I don't like, and what I think they could improve with the system in future updates, or just in future with like controllers and accessories and whatnot. So, now that I have a few months of experience, I feel like I can actually properly discuss this stuff. So, let's get right to it. So, the first problem I have with the system is the dock. You see, this dock right here is a problem because this, to me, does not feel like an official Nintendo dock. Does not feel like something they would put out. But they did. You can clearly see the Nintendo branding. This is an official dock, but it has so many problems with quality and whatnot. The first one being the biggest, probably the biggest issue with the system. As you can see here, it might be hard to see on camera, but there is some, like, okay, yeah, that's really hard to see. There is some pieces in there. I got my finger against one now. These are kind of like railing. It's not, well, not railing necessarily, but these are basically spots put there to make sure the Switch stays centered and doesn't move around too much when it's in the dock. And as you can see down in the center there, it's got a little middle piece there, and we got the USB in the center. How it works is you push the outside piece down, and as you're setting the dock in, or as you're setting the system into the dock, that piece gets pushed down, and the USB-C port stays, and it goes right into the Switch. Problem is, the railing here is not cushioned, and it's led to people scratching their systems on the front and the back, as it's on both sides. It leads to people scratching their screen and the system itself, which is really annoying. You would expect that kind of stuff from a third-party dock, but this is the official dock that comes with your system. Okay, so that's a problem. Second problem, and this is just ridiculous. Oh, it was a loud slam. Now, they do something nice here. These are all the ports for the dock, and they're all nicely laid out here. They're nicely displayed. You got the actual ports on the side, and then you lead the cords through here, through this little hole here, and then you close up the dock, and the cords will stay around here, and so that way you don't have cords dangling from the back of your dock. You can just have them from the side. I mean, you can have the dock open and use the cords that way if you feel like it, but they have that loop there, which means the cords go throughout the side. But because of the design, as you can see here, it's got a little very thin rectangle. That is a spot for the vent on the back of the Switch. Because of how powerful the system is, it generates a lot of heat, so it's gotta vent it out. And you can't really see it. Oh, but there you go. They've got some holes here. That is for the other vent, because there's 2 vents on the back of the system. You've got the one there, and then the other vent would be behind this set of cords, or set of plugins for the system itself. So the vent air is supposed to go through this spot up here, but the problem is, it doesn't go through there usually, because you'll have the dock closed, and would you look at that, it's pretty much in the way of one of the vents entirely, so you can't even see one of the vents, and then there's barely any room here. It's just like, it heats up the Switch quite a bit when you've got 2 vents there that are pretty much blocked off by something. And I mean, it doesn't overheat. I should stress, it does not overheat the system, but it gets really hot, so when you're taking it out of the system after playing on TV for a while, it's gonna practically burn a hole in your hand. Like, God. It's gonna feel so hot when you take it out of the dock. It's just gonna be ridiculous. And then, like I said, there's screen scratching problems here, and it's just like, And it feels so cheap, too. It feels so cheap. It's just like, it's got weight to it, but not actual quality to the item. And you're just left with this big thing here. And it's just like, so many problems with it. And again, this is an official Nintendo item. It's... Ugh.
Yeah, as you can tell, I'm not really the biggest fan of the dock, and I'm really upset that extra dock sets are worth $90. They cost $90 for a dock that doesn't even... It works just fine, but the quality and the craftsmanship of the item itself do not justify that price whatsoever. I mean, it's kind of nicely built. It's got a little bit of weight to it, but it does not feel like an official Nintendo item just because of how cheap it is. I really hope they make better versions of the dock in the future. That would just be so much better to have actual protection on your system. Now, about the screen scratching thing I mentioned, if you have a screen protector on your system, you don't really have to worry about that. It's just like, if you don't have a screen protector, the screen itself is very, very weak. Like, it is very prone to damage. I mean, the screen itself, this has nothing to do with the hardware. It's like the actual visual. The screen itself is very prone to damage. It's very easy to scratch. So, if you have a screen protector, then you don't really have to worry about that. And even on the back of the system, like from the back of the system getting scratched by the dock, I haven't had that happen myself, but I've just heard people have had that issue. I've not had that issue myself, but if you need a screen protector for your Switch, if you don't have one, get a glass screen protector. Trust me, it is so much better than the normal ones, because the normal ones, from what I've seen, do not work very well. Like, my friend recently got a Nintendo Switch, and he got a screen protector, and it's not the best. Let's just say that much. It's already got, like, scratches and, like, bent marks and folds and crap. In the corner, it's got, like, this giant fold in the corner, because that's a normal screen protector. And I've also heard people talking about how the screen protector bubbles on the normal ones, at least. Just, if you don't have a screen protector, get a glass one. It'll be so much better. Just letting you know right now. Next problem I have with the system is the streaming services, or lack thereof. This is really infuriating because Netflix, we know, is coming to the Switch. It is supposed to come to the Switch. Netflix does have a functioning app on the Switch. Okay, that could have been worded better. They have a functioning... Okay. It's not available. It doesn't exist. It's just still in... It just has not been released yet, but it does function. Netflix has gotten the app to work on the Switch just fine. And they did that back in September. And they've pretty much just been waiting for Nintendo's approval. Two things have happened since then. First of all, time has passed. It is now 3 months later, and we still have nothing on the Netflix Switch app. And two, Hulu came to the Switch. Yes, Hulu got put on the Switch before Netflix, and we knew Netflix was coming. What the hell? What? That makes no sense. How did Hulu get on the system before Netflix when we knew Netflix was coming? And of course, of all streaming services, it had to be Hulu, the worst one. Oh my god, it's so dumb. Why? How? What? So that's just something I want them to do in the future, is just get the streaming services on the Switch, get Amazon Video, get YouTube, get Netflix, and then maybe later down the road get like Crunchyroll and stuff. I'm saying YouTube, Netflix, and Amazon first because those are a lot bigger than Crunchyroll in terms of like user bases. So it would just overall be better. It would overall just be more beneficial to them to have those streaming services on the Switch first. And the really cool part that I've been thinking about ever since the concept of streaming services on the Switch came to mind, one really neat idea I had was the the portability of the system. You know how on PC and or at least I think PC does this, and smartphones and tablets, they have an option to download shows so that you can watch them offline? Well, maybe due to the Switch's portable nature, they can include that function on the Switch version of the Netflix app as well. And I think that would be really cool, because if they were to do that, then that means you could download your shows, download your movies, and then when you're in a car ride or you're traveling somewhere, you can watch them without needing an internet connection, which is nice because you probably won't have access to an internet connection. And then once you get home or to your hotel or wherever you have where you can set up your dock, you just have your dock there, and then you slide the system into the dock, and then suddenly you're watching your show or your movie on the TV. It's just a really seamless transition. It's just like you're watching your show on the Switch itself, you pause it, and then you put it in the dock, and it's just like, bam, you're watching it on the TV. You don't have to switch devices, you don't have to turn something else on. You just put it in the dock, power your TV on, and there you go. So that would be really cool, because normally, with the current situation, you would watch it on your phone or your tablet, and then when you get home, you'd turn something on, and you'd have to either just watch it on a separate device, or you could cast your screen to your TV, which I know some devices can do. But to have that function on the Switch, just without needing to cast to a TV or another system, just the Switch being able to do that on its own would be really neat. Another problem I have with the system is the saving system. Now, this one is probably the biggest thing. This is something that they need to work on ASAP. This is a very big problem with the system right now. You see, people, since this is a portable system, that means you can very easily lose this or have it be damaged. You drop it somewhere and whatnot. So your save data could go kaput if you drop it somewhere, and it just so happens that just certain things break in certain ways, and basically your system goes kaput. That means your save data will go kaput as well. Why do I keep saying kaput? That's not a thing I normally say. But if the save data is tied to the system like it is currently, that means when someone gets their Switch stolen or has it destroyed, that means their save data goes as well, because when they get the new system, they aren't able to transfer their save data. So that's something they need to focus on in the next update. Cloud saves, but maybe don't do it like Xbox, because with Xbox, that's a really bad cloud save system, because you can only save things to the cloud. You do not have a choice on whether you want to save it to the system or the cloud. You have to save it to the cloud, which would be fine if the Wi-Fi actually worked on the Xbox One. I've noticed this on my friend's normal model of the Xbox One and my Xbox One S model. My friend has the regular one. I have the S, and the Wi-Fi connection sucks on both of them, because our internet, first of all, both of our internet connections are not very good in the first place. And then combined with the fact that the Xbox One barely connects to the internet half the time, that's just good times all around. It's so annoying. Seriously, I restart my system, I sign out and sign back in. Sometimes it won't let me sign in, and then just my point is, we shouldn't be forced to save to the cloud. We need that to be an option. So they should do what PlayStation's doing. And the way PlayStation's doing it is your save data, normally it saves on the system itself, or I think it saves to the hard drive if you have an external hard drive. But when you have PlayStation Plus, you can upload your save data to the cloud, and then you can then download the save data in case something weird happens to it. So if you have PlayStation Plus, you're done playing a game, you can upload your save data to the cloud, and then if something weird happens with your save data, you just go to PlayStation Plus, go to the cloud, and download the save data, and there you go. Now, the only real problem with that is that I don't think it automatically uploads. I think there are options for automatic uploads, but you have to turn them on. That's the only real issue I see. I'm pretty sure there are automatic uploads. And the PS3 does this as well. It's not just a PS4 thing. The PS3 does this as well. So that means that the Switch can probably do it, and do it very well. So I hope they do something like PlayStation where you can automatically upload your save data to the cloud. And just have it be an option. So if they want to keep their save data on the system, they can do that. If they want to transfer it to the SD card, they can do that. If they want to save it to the cloud, just give them options. Okay? Now, the saving to the system thing actually kind of works in certain people's favors, because if you're saving to the system, that means that when you, if something weird happens to your SD card, like it gets write protected, or if it gets corrupted, or just something bad happens, the save data is still on the system. So you just have to get a new SD card and reinstall everything. Now that does set you back a little bit in terms of money, because that means you can't get more Switch games and controllers and whatnot, and you have to get a new SD card. But at least the save data is on the system, so that's neat, I guess. But still, cloud saves definitely need to be implemented. I think that's the next big thing that Nintendo should work on for the next Switch update. And then we can focus on the other stuff as well. Okay, so those are pretty much the main problems I have with the Switch. There might be one or two things I'm forgetting, but those are the main problems that I thought of with the system. So now let's move on to a more positive note and the things I like about the system. The portable aspect is great. Just the ability to just take AAA games, these awesome Nintendo exclusives, and then just take them anywhere, anytime, is just great. And that's kind of what the 3DS did, because the 3DS had some really awesome games as well. You played anywhere at any time. But the thing I love about the Switch is that it's a home console and a portable system, so you can play those games on the TV or on the Switch itself. Oh, shit. Oh, that's not good. My phone just fell. That is, Yeah, sorry, sorry about that. I just dropped my phone on the ground. But anyways, back to my point. Being able to take the biggest and best Nintendo games anywhere, like Breath of the Wild, like a few years ago, the concept of being able to take a massive game like that would be just insane. But NVIDIA tech is definitely part of the reason this system is so good in the first place. If NVIDIA was not helping with the Switch, it would be a terrible system. I guarantee you. Even if it did sell well, it would be an awful system. If NVIDIA did not actually help out with making the Switch tech, then the Switch would have been a god-awful system. Kind of like the Wii was. You know, the Wii was actually, in my opinion, a really bad system. It had some really cool games like Mario Galaxy 1 and 2, and Skyward Sword I actually really enjoyed, but the problem was, the system was such a gimmick, and it catered to the casual market so much that you look at the system selling rate, it's like 130 million or something like that, and then you look at game sales, and you've got like 7 million, 8 million, 5 million in their entire lifetime. It's like, yeah, I wonder who bought the system. It's the casual market that just made that system so successful. So that was a problem, and that kind of set Nintendo down this road for a while, and it kind of carried into the Wii U a little bit. It set Nintendo down this road of, like, appeal to the casual market, and then they realized with the Wii U, hey, maybe we shouldn't do that. Maybe we should appeal to the core gamers. We need to care about them. And then the Wii U happened, and no advertising, and, well, yeah, that's pretty much it. No advertising. If the system had sold well, we would have seen a lot of third-party support, and they would have gotten their core gamers back. But the fact that the Switch is selling so well means that a lot of third-party developers are interested in bringing their games over to the Switch. Bethesda already has Skyrim on the Switch. They already have Doom, and they're going to bring Wolfenstein 2 to the system sometime within the first quarter of next year. Maybe I'll get it, maybe I won't. I don't know. I don't even know that much about the game in the first place, so just because it's on the Switch does not automatically mean I'm going to be super excited. Yeah, it's great. I've only seen a couple commercials for it. That's about it. So maybe I'll get the game, maybe I won't. I don't know. But I do definitely want to show my support for third parties on the Switch. So I do want to buy third party stuff like LA Noire and Skyrim and whatnot. So yeah, well, maybe not Skyrim right now because apparently a lot of the glitches with Skyrim normal were not fixed with the Switch version. So yeah, that sucks. I also, I really like the controllers for the Nintendo Switch. The Pro Controller and the Joy-Cons. I really like all of them. They all have their own respective properties I like. Because Pro Controller is really, it just feels really nice in your hands. It's got really large buttons as well. And just overall feels nice to use. It just feels like a dream controller to use. So imagine using that for Smash Brothers. You can actually use it with for Melee on Dolphin Emulator, or really any game for that matter. Through Dolphin Emulator, or maybe even just a normal game. Maybe it's not even through Emulator. Maybe it's just a game you play on PC. The Switch Pro Controller and the Joy-Cons are actually Bluetooth, so if you want to play games like that, you could definitely do so. I'm going to be getting a computer soon, so who knows? Maybe I'll hook up my Pro Controller and my Joy-Cons, and I can, I don't know, maybe play something like Borderlands or Transformers on my PC with those controllers. That would be great. Especially considering they don't need motion controllers, because that's the problem with playing Wii games with those controllers, is you can't really set up the motion controls. So that means you have... Now, to be fair, there are more buttons on the Joy-Cons and Pro Controller than there are on the Wii with the Wiimote and Nunchuck, but still, that means you're going to have to find some workarounds and have certain buttons do certain things, and it's just weird. It's just weird all around. I can imagine someone in the future with Dolphin trying to set up a game that you would play with the Wiimote and Nunchuck, like Mario Galaxy, but set it up so you can play with one controller, with one Joy-Con. That would be awesome. I would want to try that. But that would also be kind of hard to play. But still, that'd be really cool. The Joy-Cons I really like because, as they advertised in the January presentation, you can just have them separate. You can just have them individual. You can have them individually in two separate hands, and you just kind of laze around when you're playing a game and have them in two separate hands. You don't have to keep them together like you would with a normal controller. You just have them separate and just kind of laze around and play with the system. And then if you want to play it with a normal controller, then you just put them in the grip and you play like that. So that's really cool. And then the Pro Controller, like I mentioned earlier, is really good. I almost kind of want to recommend it to people, even if they don't have the Switch. But if they're a PC gamer, that's a really good controller to use. I don't know if I could say that, though. Maybe if there's a price drop. But, yeah, so if you're willing to pay $70 for that controller, it is a really awesome controller. I don't know if it's $70 good, but it's still really good. So, the next thing I wanted to talk about is actually the newsfeed. This is something I don't see a lot of people talking about, but the newsfeed's actually pretty neat. And if you have multiple accounts, if you have a European and Japanese account, which is what a lot of people are probably going to be doing, because of the region lock thing, or the lack of a region lock, I'll get to that in a minute, but the fact that you can have European and Japanese news channels on the system without even needing to switch accounts is just really cool. Just have all those there. And speaking of region lock, like I mentioned a second ago, the lack of a region lock thing is really nice. So the Switch is region free, so if you make a European and Japanese account, you can download games off of those eShops. And you don't even need to make those. If you're getting physical games, you don't even need to make those accounts. If you're getting throw out a random Japanese exclusive like Monster Hunter Double Cross. If you're getting that physically and you're importing that, then you can just get the game and play. You don't even need a Japanese account. Now, the only problem with importing Japanese games, as I'm sure you could all guess, is the fact that you can't really understand what people are saying, and just because, kind of, sort of in a different language. Because I'm sure there are some people out there who are mainly, who they mainly speak English, but they can still understand Japanese. But still, vast majority of people who are willing to get Japanese games on their Switch are not part of that crowd, myself included. I don't know any Japanese, or at least I can't read any of it. So that is kind of a problem. That's not really like a Switch problem or a game problem, or even a developer problem, because they wouldn't expect people to, they know it's an option for people to import the game and play it on their system, but there's not a big enough market for that, for them to include English localization, so not all games are going to do that. So, yeah, that's really cool. Speaking of games coming to the Switch, the third-party support is pretty good so far. Capcom, I'm really liking how they're actually getting more involved with the Switch as of late. They had Ultra Street Fighter 2 released back in April, which is still $40, and I still find that ridiculous, even if it is the best version of Street Fighter 2. They also have Resident Evil Revelations 1 and 2. They came out on the Switch somewhat recently, so that's cool. Like I mentioned, Monster Hunter Double Cross is on the Switch, and that's pretty neat, even if it is a Japanese exclusive. And off the top of my head, I can't really remember anything else they have confirmed for Switch, but they are definitely starting to see the potential with the system now. I guess the games are selling well, and they were going to kind of use Ultra Street Fighter 2 as a base point for whether they should sell on the Switch or not. Because, that makes sense. Oh, let's see how let's see how a game that's about 30 years old at this point, almost, does on a modern-day system. We'll determine what we're going to sell on this system from that point. It just makes no sense to me. But still, I do like how Capcom's supporting the Switch. Bethesda, I mentioned, their support is already just great. And overall, I want to see more developers get involved with the Switch. Ubisoft's been liking the system so far, from what I can see. From Software hasn't put out anything yet, but I am sure they'll put something out in the future. Bandai Namco is liking the system so far, and I'm hoping Dragon Ball FighterZ or FighterZ, I'm not sure what the name is. I think it's Fighters. I hope that comes to the Switch, because Bandai Namco and all that. Well, actually, I think they're developing the game, right? I'm assuming so. Hold on, let me... I'm actually kind of curious. Are they developing Fighters? Are they developing the new one? Hold on. Oh, okay, so it's published by Bandai Namco, but it's actually being worked on by Arc Systems. Alright, so that's neat. And also, another third-party game that I don't think a lot of people are going to be talking about, that's also coming to the Switch, is BlazBlue Cross Tag Battle. And it's got Ruby in it. So that's awesome. Again, not a lot of people are talking about that, but still, that's going to be really cool, I can tell. Alright, so, yeah, there's a bunch of more stuff I want to say about the Switch, but I'm pretty sure I'm out of stock footage at this point for the visuals, so I guess I'll see you guys next time for whenever here on my channel, and, goodbye.